Hello and welcome to another episode of Into the Afroverse with your host, William Jones. And Into the Afroverse is where we're taking Black folks into the future. As always, when I do this broadcast, first of all, I want to thank folks for tuning in and listening. I can't thank you enough for helping me on this journey and helping to keep Into the Afroverse on the air. And people always ask, well, what can they do to help the show, help the broadcast? And I always tell folks two things. You can go to the website, afrofuturismnet.com, where you'll see Afrofuturism Network. That's afrofuturismnet.com. And you'll be able to go on the website there and support us there. And also, when these episodes are done airing on WOL, you can also find them on the YouTube page. So by all means, make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe and like. And that's the ways that you can support us here on the Afroverse. And as I always say, one of the things that we try to do here is bring you new talent, bring you folks that you may not have heard of before. And today is no different. Today we are joined by Khalil Massi, and he's the son of a legendary martial artist. And before came on, I was talking with him, and I was like, I recognize the name, and I recall seeing his father in some documentaries on martial arts, Saha Massi. And Khalil began his acting career as a student and member of the Harlem Theater Company in Harlem, New York City. He's also studied British acting technique with Ruth Cullerman and Meisner technique with Paul Lemos. Khalil is a former cast and crew member of Comedy Central's Chappelle Show. I'm going to talk about that. And Khalil's been studying martial arts since the age of 5 and appeared with his father on ABC Wide World of Sports at the age of 9 years old. Khalil's an actor, writer, producer, director, and stuntman. And Khalil will be seen in projects such as Marvel's Luke Cage, The Blacklist, The Prodigal Son, among others. Khalil recently directed his first feature film in the ChemFest award-winning short, The 18th, and is developing several projects, among them the Afrofuturistic, my tongue is not working today, action drama, I Come With Fire, about the Nigerian god of thunder and fire, Shango. Come With Fire is slated to be produced and distributed by Vault Access TV. And with that, I would like to welcome Khalil Massi. How you doing today, brother?
Peace. That was fantastic. I'm well.
Excellent, excellent.
Well, how are you?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank you again for joining us on Into the Afroverse. And like I said, one of the things that I like doing is introducing people like yourself to this audience, because we know the big names, we know the folks on the big screen and the small screen, but I like to speak with independent artists like yourself, up and coming artists like yourself. Now, you worked on some projects, but you also have your own independent projects. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about it. And I've actually seen your work on YouTube, and that's a big part of the reason why I was inspired to bring you on. So thank you for that. So real quick, I read some of your bio, but what's missing? What's some of the other things you can tell us about yourself?
Wow. Film or just in general?
Well, basically, what is it that got you to where you are right now in terms of your journey?
I was born in East Orange, New Jersey, to a father who was heavily involved in the Black Power movement and the Black Arts movement. For those who aren't familiar with the Black Arts movement, it was a cultural movement that went alongside the Black Power movement during the 60s and 70s. And it was started by actually Amiri Baraka. My father worked closely with him during that time. And the Black Arts movement basically was a time period, like I said, close to the Civil Rights and Black Power movement, when we were empowering ourselves, discovering ourselves. Okay, we were empowering ourselves and discovering ourselves, and we started studying African culture and African art and ancient and traditional forms, but also bringing them forward into the future, which, in my opinion, was the beginning or one of the stop points, one of the points along the way, along the history of Afrofuturism, where we're taking African forms of art and contemporizing them as we see being done today. It's also been mentioned that I say that I have to say also that Sun Ra also has been
Yes.
considered one of the originators of Black art or Afrofuturism as well. So this is a continuous process that I've been fortunate to be part of. So that's what got me started, being part of the Black art movement, being around Black culture, Black power movement, and that's what got me, into the arts and
Right.
and wanting to express myself in its various forms.
And what is it about Afrofuturism? When I talk to Afrofuturists like yourself, there's something in it that connects with them because you've come in contact with it. You could have chosen not to make it part of your form of expression. What is it about Afrofuturism that spoke to you where you say, yeah, this is it. I'm going to use this medium. I'm going to use this as my vehicle to get my message out.
Well, as it's been said by others who are in the field, like Warrington Hudlin, who's one of my mentors, who produced the several decades ago. He produced a project called Cosmic Slop.
Yes.
Or if anyone who ever saw that, I believe it was George Clinton was the host of that. An
Yes.
avatar of him was the host of it. So again, that's another point in our history with Afrofuturism. But the reason why I got into it because it allows us to use our culture as a tool to educate us and inform us and to entertain us. But it also helps us project a new world and a better world for ourselves, or to talk about our issues, whatever they may be, racism, sexism, whatever it may be, poverty, mental health issues, PTSD,
Right.
slavery, whatever
Right.
we want to talk about. We can bring those things forward and talk about what's going on with us while we're going through these things historically.
Excellent. And when I looked at your resume, like I said, I was introduced to you as a filmmaker, but when I looked at the work you've done, I see you're multifaceted. Some folks might refer to you as a Renaissance man. And one of my personal passions, yeah, one of my personal passions is martial arts. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because that's a conversation that I know when we look at the history of Black folk in this country, that was something that was really talked about in the 60s and the 70s, even in the early 80s. Martial arts was a big part of Black culture. Not just, when we talk about martial arts, we're talking about all forms of self-defense, including boxing and wrestling and so forth, or what people may imagine as traditional martial arts. Why is it, it seems to me today, we've gotten away from the martial arts, teaching it? I grew up in New York, and you could throw a stone and you would hit a martial arts school. And like I said, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they were all throughout our communities. But it seems to be something now that we've kind of gotten away from. What is it about martial arts that has helped you, and what is it you think that could help others?
Well, martial arts basically has kept me alive
Mm-hmm.
in terms of just the practice of it for its health maintenance, dealing with that aspect. But also coming from the East Coast as well, growing up in East Orange and North New Jersey and having to, and spending a lot of time in New York as well, having to, handle yourself sometime and take care
Right.
of yourself.
Right.
My father, I always tell people, my father taught me to walk with my head up and look anybody in the eye as a man, no matter how it's going to go down. Be accountable for yourself. To be, just to be a man. And that's what it's done for me. It's helped me to discipline myself. It's helped me to think clearly, how to deal with situations, problem solving. Martial arts has so many components to it in so many ways that it can help you in your regular life. martial artists throughout history were multifaceted people
Right.
and were everything from scholars to artists to engineers and such forth. So this martial arts just helps you be better at whatever it is that
Okay.
most people look at the kicking and punch aspect.
Right. Now, in terms of, once again, I just want to stay on this martial arts for a little bit because once again, I think it's a conversation that we should be having and we're not having. Because when you look at it, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned the discipline, the health, and the things that come with it. I have my own ideas, but what do you think we're missing or the community is missing out on when we don't have that focus, when martial arts is not part of the community anymore?
We're missing models that have been used since ancient time to uh, have a rites of passage vehicle for our youth. To teach them manhood and womanhood development. Because this was how martial arts was used. If you study African culture, if you study African warrior culture, the warrior culture was used as a form of rites of passage for the young men as they came of age set to join the men in the ranks of warriorhood. And again, it taught them discipline, it taught them hunting skills, it taught them how to protect the community, it taught them discipline, it taught them wisdom, things like that. These are things that we're not, well, they're there, but we're not focused on that because we have too many distractions right now. Some purposely put in place, some we put on in our own way.
Right.
In terms of we know that without going too deep into it, that there was a plan coming out of the 60s and 70s to destabilize the Black community and destabilize young Black men in our community, women as well.
Right.
During the 60s and 70s, martial art programs were very prominent in our various organizations, and they helped to build us, whether it was the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party, us organization. Martial arts was part of that. My father was part of that, training young men and women, instilling discipline into them. There, I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I just wanted to know what particular style do you practice, but please continue your point.
Okay, yeah. So again, just to wrap that up, we know that various things were thrown at our community: gangs, drugs, guns, and such forth, like that. As well as we understand that there was a deterioration in our culture, in our community, in our family. So those things and others came together and created a vacuum in our community where manhood is at a very low right now. So martial arts helps us to become better men, become better women, become better people in our community. You find that most martial artists, when you're training and you're putting that energy out, you don't have time for the foolishness. You don't have time for problems.
That is true.
You don't have, you know what I'm saying? So it just builds a different character of man and woman in our community.
And what particular style do you practice?
At this point in my training, I practice primarily my father's system of Moyo Kazi, which basically means energy work. And it's based off of the Congo cosmological principles, such as capoeira, Angola, or the other Congo Atlantic martial traditions. That's a whole nother conversation to break down with that.
No. Give us a little bit more because, man, you just dropped a lot right there. So I'm sure folks want to know more about it.
Okay, so let me put this all in a package.
Sure.
As was mentioned earlier, my father founded a system of martial art organization called Kubigane Gumi, Pan-African Martial Arts Federation. Within that, there was our own personal system, Moyo Kazi. And Moyo Kazi is based on the study of the Congo cosmogram, which is an ancient symbol that dictates various aspects of science and culture, not just in the Congo culture, but throughout Africa. You can see its manifestation in ancient Kemet and Yoruba and other places like that. In any case, when I talked about Congo Atlantic culture and the Congo cosmic brand, you know of Capoeira Angola, all right, martial art from Africa that traveled to Brazil and throughout the rest of the world. And the Congolese cosmogram and the science behind it is what dictates capoeira as a whole in terms of its martial practice, its spirituality, and its culture. Again, this is a long conversation
Right.
that you'd have to go thoroughly deep into the science of this, but not just capoeira Angola, but if you talk about other diaspora systems like the Sticklick, the Kalinda, all right, the Mani from Cuba, okay, the Pingui from Haiti, the Machette also from Haiti, and Jamaica. There's so many different
Right.
systems that travel from Africa to the diaspora. You know, that more other than what we know of Capoeira Angola, there are others, and then there are other systems on the continent. All
Right.
right, as well as you have new world systems also that are mixed. Some people have taken who were prior boxers or kickboxers or martial artists and other styles have also started integrating African practices into what they're doing. So this is what Moyo Kazi is. It is basically a study of African martial arts in full, but on the forefront of it, we study our culture, our history, and our philosophy, but we study the full circle of martial.
No, that is awesome. That is excellent because all too often when we talk about martial arts, we automatically think of karate, kung fu, and so forth. And our mind automatically goes to Asia. You know, we
Yeah.
start looking at China and Japan. So I
Mm-hmm.
love the way that you are bringing or introducing perhaps some folks that aren't familiar with these African fighting styles, because that's where it starts. You know, that's what a lot of people don't realize, or we're just starting to realize the oldest fighting styles are found on the continent of Africa. So for you to be part of that lineage of introducing it and keeping the culture, that in and of itself is Afrofuturism. You know,
Yes.
you're taking that martial art from the past to the present. If you're just joining us, this is Into the Afroverse with your host, William Jones. And today we're joined by Khalil Massi. So you're a martial artist,
Mm-hmm.
you're an actor. I know, once again, looking at your bio, you're trained early on. What is it about acting that spoke to you? And what is it that you're getting from it? And what is it you want to deliver to others through your medium?
Well, when I was a real young boy, my father would take me to the movies, you know, and to Chinatown and to New York. And we watched all them old martial art flicks, some samurai flicks, and that was a big thing back then,
Right,
and I was a very small boy going there, very
right.
young age, And then of course Bruce Lee hit the screen, you know, and
That's
and
it.
I said I want to do that. It was
Right.
like so like that's why I got it. Again, being in artistic, being around artists,
Mhm.
then falling in love with film. But what happened along the way was that, I wanted to get into it like a lot of martial artists, get on screen and throw some kicks and punches, and, be cool and all that type of stuff. And I actually fell in love with the industry. I actually fell in love with acting and writing and, producing and directing. Most of the projects that I'm involved in and I've done aren't martial art films.
Right.
I've actually studied. I'm a real actor. You know, it just something changed along the way. To say, hey, wait a minute, this is something in itself, not just to get on here, throw some punches and kicks. This is a real craft.
Excellent. So what's some of your earliest work? Where can we find you?
Wow. Um, Again, you can I'm on you say earliest work?
Yeah, what's some of
Wow.
like what is it that kind of
If you can
brought
find
you
this
into
stuff, I'll go. If you can find this stuff, because I've been in the game a minute,
Okay.
So look, the first feature film I did was called Young Survivor. This was in late '90s, I believe.
Okay.
Late '90s, I did that film. Fresh coming out of acting school. This this was I was told at the time this was the first Asian hip hop film with hip hop themes and urban themes and such forth. small independent film. You got me moving my mind right now. Um, I was in, I did a film called Process of Elimination, called POE, my first lead role by Open Minds Entertainment. You can, it's called The Process of Elimination. Also, I produced a film with Open Minds Entertainment called Bullets Over Brownsville. It's about Brownsville, New York, and it's a it's a feature film with 4 different stories in it that deals with issues of violence and crime and such forth that goes on in urban areas. This is about Brownsville, New York. I produced this with my partners, Natural Langdon and Damon did it. Open Minds Entertainment. What else? Luke Cage, guest appearance on Luke Cage. I'm also lucky to have a Marvel Cinematic Universe page because I was on Luke Cage. Luke Cage. Prodigal Son. Yeah, been in a lot of stuff.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard to even remember when you start going through
Right.
your
I can
mind.
imagine. I can imagine.
Is
there a
Yeah.
What was that? The Blacklist? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that one, yeah, Luke Cage, Blacklist, I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with, but I want them to go back and check out some of your earlier stuff as well. Before I move any further, where can folks find you on social media? How can they find you?
Fortunately, I'm the only guy with the name Khalil Massi. I don't know if anybody else has that, so it's easy to find me. I'm on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, such forth. Twitter as Khalil Massi. And my email is very easy as well. It's Infundishi Khalil. Well, it's not easy, but Khalil Massi party. Infundishi Khalil Massi at gmail.com or Khalil Nichols at gmail.com.
Excellent. And as you progress through your work and you grow in your work, are there certain projects that you're drawn to either as an actor or behind the scenes? Is there a common theme or something that you are looking to push and promote through your work?
For the most part, no, because I'm just trying to create art, and I
Right.
think people should be able to interpret art for themselves for what it means. You may have an idea of what you're trying to say, but someone else may take it in a whole nother way, and it means something for them. And they should be allowed to do that. Art is up to the interpreter. You may hear a conversation one way, and someone else hears it another way because what was meant for you was meant for you. So for the most part, I'm not heavy-handed trying to get people to think or say something. But I do have personal issues, politics, things like that, like anybody else, that will seep into my work. But I won't hit anybody over the head with it.
Got you. So now I want to talk about your latest projects, the films that, like I said, that I saw on YouTube. Can you speak to those projects? Give us a little bit of a background. Don't give it all away because we want folks to tune in and watch it. But can you give us a little bit of background on your latest projects?
Okay, so talk about first the 18th. And the 18th is a short film that I actually produced and directed after going back to school during the whole COVID-19 pandemic situation. And so it's an idea I had in my head for quite a while to produce as a feature. I got it, was given an assignment at school, so I did it as a short. And it basically deals with, there's a little known myth by most people called the 16 crucified saviors before Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And what that myth talks about is that there were 16 saviors before Christ. Right. Of course, the Christ being the 17th one. So I had an idea let's write a story about what if there was an 18th one that came along. Wow. So that's basically what the title alludes towards. That's one little Easter egg I give away. Other than that, so that's basically what the story is about. And other than that, the story it deals with that, as well as is one of the questions. Right. It's a very small question in there, but also where are we at?
Mhm.
Where are we collectively in this world as humanity as we are at the 18th hour? I mean, not the
Wow.
18th hour, the 11th hour on the doomsday clock.
Wow. Wow. So what kind of, because I always like to talk about when I hear these films and so forth. Uh, so many people want to be filmmakers, they want to be creators and so forth, but there's a lot of work that goes into it, not just in creating the script and creating, the
Mm-hmm.
film itself, but the research before the
Mm-hmm.
script is written to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that, it's accurate, that it's based in, like you talk about, mythology or
Mm-hmm.
history or a combination of both. What kind of
Mm-hmm.
work went into preparing
Wow.
to create that project?
Well, in terms of the research, that had been done decades before because it
Mhm.
was an interest of mine. Just in terms of religion and politics, just things that I studied. So that was already there. The hard part is getting it to screen.
Right,
you
right,
know, that's the so yeah. Well, and I had to do that in a matter of a couple of I had a couple of months to do that, which sounds okay for a short film, but it was not a couple of months just focusing on that.
right,
I still had other classes to do, and I had to get my crew together and
right.
write this, and shoot this, and get it edited, and all of that type of stuff. So, no, it was not easy at all. It
I
was not
got
a
you.
lot. A lot went into it.
And just another question on this 18th, because once again, I'm
Mhm.
so intrigued by it, and
Mhm.
folks do need to check it out. Um, with the 16th, you're incorporating a lot of beliefs that people have,
Mhm.
different belief systems and so forth. What was the response? What has been the response to this project? Because, we talk about religion, we talk about people's beliefs,
Uh-huh.
we could be stepping on some toes, ruffling some feathers. So what's the response been?
Well, that's why uh, again, I don't hit anybody over the head,
Right.
because like you said, you ruffle people's toes. Uh, so I just skirt around the religion thing. It's there, but I don't say you or this or that or anything like that. So
Right.
the response has been cool, because I'm not pointing out any look. Most of the problems with human beings are human beings. It's not any
Right.
inanimate object or vehicle. So
Right.
I wouldn't point at any religion or anything. It's what we're doing in the name of these religions or politics or anything like that. So it's been pretty good because I haven't offended anybody. Well,
Gotcha.
hopefully I haven't so far. No one's told me they've been offended.
That's great. And the other project, I Come with Fire. What was that about?
Well, I come with fire is about the we know of Thor.
Hmm.
We know who Thor is, but most people don't know that there is an African god of thunder by the name of Shango, who was a real life human being. All right, It's debated that he was either the third or the fourth king of the Oyo Empire in Nigeria. That's debated, but we
Right.
know he was a real life human being who ascended to what we Orisha hood. I don't want to use the word godhood. People do get that confused. I'll use that sometimes, but I want to use the proper term as well.
Mhm.
Orisha, which is basically these are divine beings, or angelic forces. People would say, how did he become an Orisha, a divine being? The same way Catholic saints do.
One more time. You said it's the same way
I
the
paused
Catholic
on
saints do.
purpose.
Yeah. The same way the Catholic saints do. I like that.
Yeah. Well, because now it might offend some people's religion, but most of these world religions out here borrow from
Right.
African culture. This
Right.
is how we ended up with a Thor. This is how we ended up with the process of making saints in Catholicism. These are things that were adopted out of African culture. Now, there's more to it again that takes more to
Right.
explain.
Right.
I'm a Yoruba priest, actually, just so
Okay.
you know. I'm a Babalao, and, and I'm also a son of Shango. So this is where I get the background to be able to talk about these things. But in any case, so this project is it's an Afrofuturistic project about Shango, the African god of thunder and fire, coming forth in the modern day. And it's a question: is he insane, suffering mental health problems, PTSD? Is he abuser of intoxicants, or is he actually becoming the African god of thunder?
Wow.
That's the question. So
Wow.
the project's going to deal with this is being written as a series,
Hmm.
uh, the person in this project is going to be dealing with a number of issues, PTSD from the history of slavery and racism, substance abuse problems, crime, things like that. There's even going to be a point where you're going to ask the question whether is he the hero or not.
Wow.
You know, so
That's awesome.
yeah.
So what I like, what I'm hearing, and once again, this is what I really can appreciate
Mm-hmm.
about Afrofuturistic projects and just the realm of Afrofuturism. You're able to take on all of these different topics and include African spirituality into it. And I think that it becomes this tool now to educate folks. I'm sure some people have heard the term Orisha, they've heard Shango, and so on and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. And just in these few moments with your description, they're enlightened that much more. So I can only imagine once the project is out there and folks are watching it, how much more they will be enlightened. In terms of Afrofuturism, and I always ask this of my guests, uh, the whole idea is building, as you mentioned, building a better future for Black folk
Mm-hmm.
here and around the world. What role do you see yourself playing in
Mm-hmm.
creating that future?
Mm-hmm. Wow. In terms of futurism,
Yes, the future that you want to see happen, what role
yeah,
are you playing in bringing that into existence?
by being that future.
Mhm.
I think we have to be what it is that we want to see in the world. It's an old cliche,
Right,
but it's real. If I'm living a life of Afrofuturism, in terms of culture, religion, art, music, all of that type of stuff, and I'm bringing all of that forward with me, that makes me Afrofuturistic. And then we're
right,
showing how it can be integrated into the new world, the new form. You see how these kids are doing it; they're taking on a whole nother level.
exactly.
you know. So that's what it is about to me. We have to be what it is we want to see in the world, and so that's what I'm doing. I live, or I try to live, an Afrofuturistic life. In terms of the martial arts. Taking the ancient wisdom and knowledge and bringing it into the future. And how can it help us today in terms of getting disciplining ourselves, keeping us healthy, protecting our communities and such forth. Film, giving the images that we want to see.
Got
Uh,
you.
my father's books. I'm promoting, relaunching his books, and taking that ancient wisdom and putting it out there for people who want to learn the science behind martial arts and healing culture, today as well.
So you just can't say you bring it out the book. You gotta give us some titles. What are the titles? What are we looking for here?
Okay, so I recently relaunched two of my father's books. My father passed away. He transitioned last October.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I've been just like reorganizing everything for us, our school and organization and such forth. And I've just recently relaunched two of his books. The first one I launched was the Awakened Warrior, and on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. And The Awakened Warrior by Shaha and Fudishi Massi. And that book basically deals with a history of PTSD in the Black community, stemming from slavery, coming through Jim Crow to now. What are the things? It's more of a booklet with a journal inside. It talks about what the issues we are, what the issues we faced, what the issues we face, and how can we use mindfulness and meditation as a tool to deal with some of the healing that we need to do as far as our minds are right now. Because as a people, as my father would say, we're scattered and tattered all over the place. And we need to find our center. And we believe, we know for us that meditation and mindfulness and martial arts has done that for us. So that's what the first book deals with.
Mhm.
The second book is more intensive. It's Essential Warrior, and it deals with, if you're familiar with the internal martial arts from the Asian perspective, Chi and all of those various aspects that go into the Asian training and Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, such forth. Well, African culture has that as well. So this book breaks that down from a Congo perspective as well. Uh, uh, what they call Chi, we call Moyo, okay, energy. In Kemet they call it Shekam. In India they call it Prana. So this is what this is dealing with, all of the different energy aspects and how to cultivate that and utilize that to make us better human beings and operate in our community. Because see, you have to understand the reason why, if people are looking for a punching kicks, you're not going to get this in these books. This is
Gotcha.
dealing with the essence of what this is dealing with the essence of martial arts and how we can use it to effectively better our community. That's what my father's work has always been. It has never been about trophies or
Right.
who butt can you kick. We were part of that too, but it's always been about how can we make our community a better place.
Excellent. And that book can also be found on Amazon, or
On
have you put
Amazon,
it? Excellent.
paperback and Kindle.
Excellent.
Yes.
And the school, you said you are relaunching the school.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I just wanted to know the location. Where can folks find the school?
Okay, we are in we don't give out the location
Okay.
because we're closed door,
Okay.
but we will no, but we accept new people in, but we have to screen them first. But we
That
are
makes
located in East Orange, New Jersey, and in Baltimore, Maryland, as
okay.
well as there are affiliate schools uh, from our partners and other associates throughout the country.
Gotcha.
Uh, we all don't do the same thing, but
Hmm.
we're all brothers and sisters. And I anyone who I send you to comes highly recommended. If you reach out to me and you're not in my area and you need to want to train with somebody, if I can locate, let's say if you're in Chicago, Detroit, or anything like that, we have people around who you can train with in martial arts.
So if someone's listening and they want to be screened, how
Uh-huh.
one more time, tell them how they can reach you. Because I'm sure some folks listening.
And
Go ahead.
uh, on social media, Khalil Massi, KhalilMasi. Email Khalil Infundishi, Khalil Massi at gmail.com.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, you talked about, and you said that as far as you see yourself in helping to build this better future, being that future.
Mm-hmm.
You've been at this your entire life. You were raised in this manner and so forth, the way that you've come to see the world. But what's the challenge for someone listening to you that's looking to improve, that's looking to be better, that's looking to incorporate some of the things you just talked about? Um, what recommendations can you give to someone who wasn't raised in it, but they're looking to
Mm.
improve themselves and be better? Because as you well know, today we're inundated with so much that's really
Mm-hmm.
trying to pull us away from the principles and the themes that you talked about. What recommendations can you give to someone listening to say, hey, this is what you have to do to not only walk on this path, but to stay on it despite all that's going on around us?
Mm-hmm. It's deep that you asked me that, and that you say that I was born in it, and yes, I was. But being born in it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to walk that
Right,
path, that you were destined to walk that path or
right,
anything. I have brothers and sisters who, have chosen different paths and different
right,
walks for whatever reason. If you look at El Haj Malik Shabazz family, they all didn't walk the path
right,
together or,
right,
or all of, so saying that to say is that you are not, I would tell people that you are not your past.
yeah,
So whatever it is that you were, whatever it is you're trying to be, you only have to bring forward with you the things that you want to bring forward. You're
right,
not your past. And there is no such thing. There is, but in the sense of understanding the mind, there is no such thing as tomorrow either.
right,
There's now.
right,
This is who you are This is your fresh beginning. I tell my daughter all the time, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Got a clean slate,
Right.
you know. Now those things from the past, they'll follow us. They'll
Right.
haunt us. They'll try to. But if we stay focused, if we stay disciplined, and follow the program, then you can see success. And success is just surviving the situation, walking out that door every day. And if you're a family man, making it back home to your family. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Surviving the encounters. It doesn't have to be some big fabulous world
Right.
renowned activity involved in, man. Just still being centered, studying martial arts, focus on your basics, listen to your teacher, follow the path as much as possible. If you stray off, just get back on.
Right.
Because we all do.
Yes.
We
and
all do.
and I like the way that you describe success, because all too often, especially nowadays with social media and the way that consumerism is just forced upon us, materialism just forced upon us, I think one of the things that we need to get in the habit of doing is redefining success.
Exactly. Just real quick, I was watching a podcast when Mike Tyson was interviewing LL Cool J. And, they were talking about all this big stuff and money and being great and all that. And LL slowed it down. He said, wait a minute, but you got to understand, though, everybody ain't trying to be that. Everybody's not trying to, be famous. Some people just want their house, their wife, their car, their kids, and have a regular life.
Right.
And it's big to them, So, yeah, absolutely.
And like for me, further on that is, I think that is also part of happiness. If I'm trying to live up to someone else's definition of success, it's really hard to find peace in that. It's really hard to find happiness in that. So I like what you're saying in terms of what does success mean to you, be successful in that. And I think that is a big key to happiness. And it kind of flies in the face of all that we're seeing right now with social media and so forth. So let me
making us worse sometimes.
Yes.
Now we're fire to unrealistic things.
Exactly. So let's go back to these two films. Now the 18th we can see on YouTube. And all we got to do is type in the 18th. And I like it because now that you've explained it, when I was reading it, people see the title and their question marks. So now we get it. And this next piece that you have coming up, where will we be able to find that? Is this something that you're looking to put on the big screen, the small screen, film festivals? What's the plan?
Yeah, this was written as a pilot for a television series. Right now, I won the North International Film Festival with it last year, and Vault TV wants to produce it. So it's slated to be produced by Vault TV, which is also operated by Ken Gifford of the North International Film Festival. So that's what it's looking at right now. Sometime in 2024, I haven't been given an exact date, but I've been given I've been told that, it hasn't been anything signed or anything like that, but they want to produce the project. So we're in conversation. So that's about most I can say about it right now.
Gotcha.
Now, if they shoot it, that's one thing. That doesn't mean that it necessarily that's where it will be seen.
Gotcha.
I'm still going to be pitching it to the bigger streaming services and networks and such forth. But it's good to have somebody in your corner already that will help you produce it and get your pilot together.
Certainly, and best luck to you in that. And once it's out there, because I'm just seeing the success, I'm hearing the passion coming from you and the content. Like I said, I saw the 18th, so I know it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be great, and I'm already extending an invitation to you to come back once it's out there to talk more about it. So, believe it or not, and we are coming up on the end
Yeah.
of this segment. And I just want to thank you for being part of Into the Afroverse, where we're taking Black folks into the future. I can't say it enough that I really just appreciate when people take the time out of their schedules to come in and share their work, share their passion with the audience. And I get a thrill from being like the vehicle, where people like you can come and do that. So thank you. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words for folks that are listening?
Absolutely. Well, let me say first, real quick, just some housekeeping. We
Mm-hmm.
have coming up also the Pan-African Martial Arts Conference, November 4th in Newark, New Jersey at Essex County College, in conjunction with the Africana Studies Department that is headed by Dr. Khalil. So we have mark your calendars, November 4th, Newark, New Jersey, Essex County College, Africana Institute, the Pan-African Martial Arts Conference. Our people are going to be coming from all over to work to present the various forms of martial arts, not just from Africa, but throughout the diaspora, anywhere in the world that Black people study martial arts. All right. We're going to be honoring my father, Hati Kalindi and Ganga Talona, Moses Powell, Ronald Duncan, several other masters and grandmasters who have left us. So mark the calendar. There'll be more September 4th. Again, my social media, Khalil Massi, KhalilMaasi. You'll see updates. I even have a Pan-African Martial Arts conference group. If you go to my Facebook page, you can find that to get updates and details.
And that's
So
November 4th.
that's November 4th in North New Jersey. Uh,
And real quick, is this only in person or is there a virtual component to this as well?
I'm planning to have a virtual component to
Okay.
this as well. So, yeah, definitely. And it's free.
Okay.
There's no cost. The college is taking care of everything. So everybody can just come on in and partake in what's happening. Now you asked me another question.
Yeah, just your final thoughts. What would you like to leave us with?
My final thoughts is that our history and our culture is rich with everything we need in it to be the best versions of ourselves we can be. Amiri Baraka used to say culture is a weapon. Those who don't know who he is, Imam Amiri Baraka, legendary poet, playwright, activist. He said culture is a weapon for, or a tool for your freedom and liberation. We know that the world, the economic engine for the world for the past 400 or 500 years has been Black bodies and Black culture and resources taken out of Africa. We have everything we need. And I'll say this one last piece to go with it. In Yoruba culture, Yoruba religion, tradition, it's taught that, people talk about reincarnation. We have that in our culture too. It's taught that it takes about 400 years or so for a person to reincarnate, for those who are believers in that. If you count down the decades and generations, it's been about 400 or so years.
Wow.
So guess what? When they say we are the ones we've been waiting for, we are the ones that we've been waiting for.
Wow. That is awesome. Let me just ask you this. Afrofuturism is exactly what it is. Let me just ask you this, in the Black community, because I do want to address this. Many Black folks, it's changing, but many Black folks still very conservative in their views. And as much as Black folk don't realize it, still very conservative in their views. And when they hear Yoruba, when they hear Yoruba priest, when they hear Yoruba priestess, when they hear Shango and so forth, it scares a lot of Black folks. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It scares a lot of Black folk. It maybe scares some grandmamas and some granddaddies, out there that are listening. What is it that you can tell us? And I'm not asking you to defend it because it needs no defense, but what is it that you can tell us and share with us so that for those of us that don't know about Yoruba culture and practices and so forth, to where it's something that we won't be as fearful of?
Monotheistic. Yoruba culture is Yoruba religion is a monotheistic religion. Okay, there's one creator just like in every other religion. Um, but they go by different names. But we're
Right.
still all talking about the same creator, create God, same God. This creator also has agents in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. They call them angels. you know,
Right.
or sometimes they're saints or things
Right.
like that. We call them Orisha or Irimole. Same thing.
Right.
In the Judaic Abrahamic religions, angels are described as beings of light and color. Guess what? In the Yoruba, they're described as beings of light and color. We also wear beads called eleke that are of different colors
Right.
that signify the different angelic forces. We're talking about the same thing.
Right.
But when the colonizers came into Africa, in order to be able to defeat us, they had to defeat our mind first. So they told us our religion was wrong, our God was wrong, everything we're doing is wrong, it's demonic. This is what you should be doing while they were beating and starving and robbing.
Right.
So
Right.
this is why I said earlier, I won't talk about the religions in any way. I'll talk about the people,
Got you.
who use the religion to do whatever it is that they do for their own gain. So that being said, again, we're doing the same thing that you're doing. We're praising God. We're taking notice of ancestors and angelic forces. You know, we're just practicing spirituality. We're practicing what was developed by us for us.
Wow.
I say, pick up a book, read a book, come to a service if you want
Excellent.
to know what you want.
Excellent. And I'm sure folks that are listening, I introduced you as, son of a martial artist, practicing martial artist, filmmaker, but I'm sure folks didn't expect all of this coming out of this conversation. And I mean that in the most positive way. And that's the thing. Once again, we talk about what we do here on Into the Afroverse. This is what it's about, taking Afrofuturism and expanding its definition, taking it beyond what our ancestors might have even thought, because the term itself coined in the 80s, but as I always remind people, we've been Afrofuturists. We've always had our eye on the future. Our religion, as you just enlightened us, speak to this idea. The monuments that we build, the mathematics, the science, all of these things, that's futuristic. To create math, to create science, to create monuments, you're telling folks this is for future generations. This is something that you can live off of and feed from for generations to come. So I just want to thank you for sharing and imparting your wisdom. And I know I've asked you a couple of times, but I want to make sure we get it out there. One last time, how can folks find you, and where can we see your films and your other works?
Absolutely. Khalil Massi, KhalilMaassi on all social media platforms. We work in website stuff, so nothing's up for that yet. That will be up. You'll be able to find that in the future. I'll post about that on the social media sites. Khalil Infundishi, Khalil Massi at gmail.com.
And we
Or
can
I'm sorry, go ahead.
and we can find the 18th on YouTube.
And the 18th is on YouTube, as well as put in the 18th Khalil Massi to make sure you get it, because there are other similar name projects out there, as we know. Also, yeah, and I come with Fire teaser is also on there as well.
Excellent. Well, brother, one more time, I just want to thank you for being on the show. And like I said, you have an open invitation to come on back. And I mean, we really could have kept going. With the stuff that you were talking about, man, we could have kept going. So anytime you want to come on and impart some more knowledge and wisdom to us, or you have some new projects or give us some updates on your current projects, you are welcome. to come on back to Into the Afroverse. So thank you, brother, for being part of the show today.
Thank you. I'm forgetting the date right now, but I
Mm-hmm.
will be at the Kim Fest that's coming up with Massi Gifted. I will be there.
Excellent.
At the next Kim Fest. My partner, my brother, Derek Garvin, is promoting his game, his online game and book, Dynasty of the Magi, which I'm also helping him produce into a movie as well. So come through, guys.
Awesome. So that'll about do it for us on another episode of Into the Afroverse with your host, William Jones. And Into the Afroverse, we're taking Black folks into the future. And like I said, folks always asking, how can they support? Go to the website, afrofuturismnet.com, and you can see there how you can support to keep this show on air. And also be sure to check out this episode and past episodes on the YouTube page for Afrofuturism Network. So once again, that'll about do it. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen, and a special shout out to Mr. Duke Productions for producing today's episode. Take care and have a good day.
Peace, everyone. Thank you.